Talk Sports Good! Yeah! What's up, y'all?
Okay, so that was awful, and we'll promise never to do that again. So this is We Talk Sports Good. This is our second show, and this is actually going to be an all-college football show today. So what we're going to start doing after this week is every Monday we'll do college football right after the playoff or the rankings come out, and then every Wednesday we're going to do NFL right before that Thursday night game. But this week it just panned out this way. All right, so I guess with me as usual is Dom.
Woo!
And Thomas with
What
the
up?
sweet vocals.
What up? What up?
All right, guys. So first off, hit the like, hit the subscribe. It would help a lot. We'd much appreciate it. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do today is first we're just going to run down college football playoffs, our predictions real quick. We won't go into who we think is going to win, who's going to end up in the championship, who wins it. We'll just say the four teams real quick. And then we'll go into the top 25 teams and who they play, 1 down to 25. And we'll just do a quick pick 'em. There's a few games that we want to stop and talk about for a little bit, and we'll do that. And then if we have time, we're going to talk a little bit about a non-top 25 game, and then we'll wrap up with Heisman hopefuls. All right, so let's go ahead and start with those playoff predictions. Dom, you want to go first?
I'll go for it. As of now, I do really like the AP poll right now. I'm going to just change a little up. As of now, I'm going to put Clemson as 1. I really like what Clemson's done. I like how they beat Auburn, how they beat Louisville, went to Louisville and won. They look reloaded and not rebuilding right now. So I'm going to put them 1. I'm going to put Bama 2. SEC's down, but Bama's never down. And then I'm going to keep OU 3. And that's going to obviously all be on the Oklahoma State OU game, which will be honestly a huge, huge game. College game day better be there because that's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see as well in that is with the Big 12 having the championship game if they meet for a second time. So I'm kind of intrigued if they have to meet twice. And then I'm going to put Penn State 4. I'm avoiding my bias. I think Penn State's going to beat Michigan. I thought they should have made it last year. So I think they make it this year.
All right, and out of those, do you have anyone that's a 1 loss, or are they all undefeated?
I do think with the Big 12 being kind of all over the place, I think OU, Alabama, and Clemson all go undefeated. So I think OU can take Oklahoma State out twice. And even if they lose to them once, I see them beating them again. If they'll lose to them early, and then they'll beat them in the Big 12 championship to make it back.
Okay.
The Big 10 being good, I see Penn State losing at least 1. But honestly, I have them beating Michigan right now. So I could see 1 slip up somewhere, but I think they win the Big 10.
All right. Thomas, what you got?
So, you make me angry, Dom.
Yeah.
How is Alabama not number 1? Alabama is Bama. Number 1.
Clemson's a defending champion.
They're number 1.
And look what team Clemson
lost their quarterback. They lost their quarterback.
So?
They lost DW4.
Look at what Bama lost.
It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same.
Look what Bama lost.
Offensively,
He was number 1.
Anyway,
put some respect on the national champions.
It's my turn to talk. Thank you, Randall. You're supposed to mute him. So anyway,
I kind of like the banter.
Anyway, I got Alabama, then Clemson, then Oklahoma, and then I'm going to say USC sneaks in because I just took a look at their schedule, and they got 1 ranked team left. I know UCLA is at the end of their schedule, but they got Washington State left. I know their game against Texas was interesting, but I still got them sneaking in there at the number 4 spot.
Okay. Well, I'll just run through mine real quick. Number 1 seed, I have Alabama. They'll be undefeated. Clemson 2, undefeated. I have Oklahoma State at 3, undefeated. That OU game is at Oklahoma State, so I like them there. And then with that 4 seed, I have Penn State, and I think they'll lose at Ohio State in a close one. So, yeah, those are my picks. We'll see how that pans out. All right, so on to the top 25. We'll start with one, like I said, because honestly, the number one game is kind of boring this week. So number one comes Alabama, obviously, and they're at Vandy. Thomas, go.
Roll Tide.
Fair enough.
Like Jalen Hurts said in the interview, even though the Vanderbilt guy tried mouthing off and saying they got to come here, we're the next game. He's right. They are the next game, but Bama's going to roll way over them.
So Dom didn't put as much emphasis on that because he talked about that at length before we started this. He loved that interview. All right. I also have Alabama. I mean, come on. No offense, Vandy.
Yeah.
All right. So second, we have Clemson versus Boston College.
Oh, well, Clemson.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Clemson.
Yeah, I think our playoffs picture kind of described that one.
Yeah.
All right. So number 3, we got Oklahoma at Baylor.
Oh, it's at Baylor?
At Baylor.
Oh, it's totally going to be Oklahoma.
OU by 50.
I also have OU. RIP to the Baylor football program. Okay.
This is the death sentence for him, pretty much. So.
Yep.
I really hate that because one of my buddies is the quarterback. So
that's right.
Or I should say one of my girlfriend's buddies is the quarterback. So
friends by association.
Friend by association, yes.
Y'all are best friends. All right, number 4, Penn State at Iowa Golden Hawks.
I actually have this game closer than I saw Penn State winning, but the fact that Iowa, whenever people go there, it is always a very close game. And just they're always a tough team to beat when they're home. And shout out to Iowa for their new tradition they're doing. I don't know if anyone saw that, but they stop and wave at the Iowa Children's Hospital. I believe at the end of the first quarter. It's a pretty cool thing. You should look it up. It's good for them.
Cool. That's very touching, Dom. But they're still going to get beat.
Whoa.
Let's say Penn State winning.
That's what I'm saying. They're still going to get beat.
I'm just saying it's a nice thing to do.
So that's what I said. It's a nice thing to do, but they're still going to get beat.
Thomas is angry today.
Yeah, really.
He had to work hard at work today, and he's not liking it.
Nope.
All right, well, I also have Penn State, obviously, because I said their only loss is going to be at Ohio State this year. So number 5, we have USC at Cal.
I have USC winning, but they don't cover their 17-point spread.
Okay.
Yeah, I have USC winning too, but it's going to be close. They're definitely not. They're not going to cover.
I am actually going to say USC is going to blow them out, and I'll tell you why. Because I think they're ticked that they even played that close of a game against Texas. I think that O-line coach is ticked off at USC because their offensive line played awful. So I think they'll get a big win at Cal. So 6 is a game that we really wanted to talk about. Number 6 is Oklahoma State, and they are playing TCU, which is also ranked number 16. It is at Oklahoma State. Thomas, take it away.
So TCU has, looked good this year, but like you said earlier, when your college playoff predictions, Oklahoma's got to go to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's not an easy place to play. So I have Oklahoma State by a touchdown. That's it. It's gonna be close.
I believe I have it. I actually have that in the college pick'em, ESPN. I put a touchdown as well. Oklahoma State. I have it 42-35. I have a shootout. I mean, with the teams, honestly, TCU's kind of turned into that high-power offense that you're not really known for them having. Kenny Hill has 8 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. I looked that up. Interesting fact, Kenny Hill from Southlake. Oh, stop it, Thomas.
I knew you were going to say that.
Okay,
I knew it. I knew
Did
it.
I not say it?
I knew it was going to happen. You talk about it all the time.
I'm going to mute him if he's not going to stop.
And Thomas is officially muted.
All right. So, anyways, yeah, I played Kenny Hill in baseball while he played at Southlake, and he was a freak athlete. He won our district MVP, hitter of the year in 1 year. The same year they went to football, they won the Texas football 5A championship. They went to the Final Four in baseball. That he's just a very good all-around athlete. And I watched him dismantle our football team, which made playoffs. He was out by halftime with a 35-0 lead. So he's an interesting player to watch, but I still have Oklahoma State. But like I said, shootout.
And for some reason, I can't unmute Thomas.
Oh, I'm back. Now he's
there.
muted.
He is.
It's Kenny
Okay.
Hill. We all
have-
saw what he did at Texas A&M. He's terrible.
We have an early abuse of the mute button here that we found out we could use after last show. We probably should have been muted about the Jags. Okay, so I have not picked. I will pick Oklahoma State, obviously, because I said they would go undefeated. And I'll actually have them beating TCU by 17 because I am a Kenny Hill hater. And there's nothing else to say about that.
He's bad.
So next we have number 7, Washington at Colorado. Dom, why don't you take this one because I know you think Washington is not as good as everyone thinks they are.
I don't think they're very good, and I have them slipping up, but not yet. I have them losing to Washington State. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think Leach will beat them, even though it is at Washington. I think they eventually get one win over them, but I do have Washington winning. It's a 10.5 spread. I have it being close, so I don't have Washington covering the spread. I think it'll be a touchdown game, probably, maybe just a field goal. I could see it being an overtime game.
Okay, Thomas, what you got?
I think I'm gonna roll with Dom on this one, just simply because I'm not real sure. I haven't really kept up on either one of the teams, so my research says I'm just gonna roll with Dom.
Fair enough. You know what? I will be the person that picks the upset here. I'll say Colorado by a field goal to win it.
Nice.
That's what I'll go with. Over under 1 kick return for touchdown or punt return for touchdown.
I'm going under. I saw Colorado already has kind of strategized against Pettis.
Okay. All right.
I'm just not a big Browning fan. I don't think he's that good. He doesn't have a great
I'll
arm.
agree with you. I don't think he's as good as everyone thought he was coming into this season.
Yeah.
All right, so number 8, one that's going to hit home to one of our panelists here. Number 8, Michigan at Purdue.
I think they play another close game. The red zone is terrible. I was telling Randall this earlier. I defended Spates last year a lot, being first year. I don't know right now with him. I have Michigan losing a couple times this year because he just doesn't have any good presence in the red zone, and he just doesn't have a good clutch situation. He just makes bad decisions in the clutch. They have a great defense behind him. They have a lot of weapons on offense. He has the great frame. He's 6'5". He's built like a pocket quarterback. That's the system Jim Harbaugh's wanted, and he has not taken advantage of what he could have in this offense. So I'm going to keep it close. Michigan still win, but Purdue hasn't looked terrible. They were able to do some stuff versus Louisville in the beginning of the game before Jackson really broke out in the second half. So I think they're not a terrible team. They're not great, but Michigan still wins, but it might look like Air Force again.
Okay. Thomas?
Yeah, I got Michigan winning. Dom, I agree with you. He hasn't looked the best in the red zone. Is obviously an important role, or it is an important role in, converting those red zone opportunities, and you have to do it. And Harbaugh is probably really ticked off that they haven't scored over 60 a game. So, yeah, but it's going to be close. But like you said, Purdue hadn't looked terrible, but I got Michigan winning.
I will pick Michigan also. Only way Purdue wins this is if Drew Brees comes back. All right, so number 9 is Wisconsin. They actually have a bye, so we'll go ahead and skip them. I'll go ahead and pick Wisconsin in that one. Number 10 is going to be Ohio State versus UNLV, those running Rebels.
I am not picking UNLV.
Okay.
Same.
Thomas?
Same.
I don't want to say the other team's name, though.
Fair enough. That is fair.
He's picking Ohio State.
Okay. All right. So I'm also picking Ohio State. Number 11. This is a game we also wanted to talk a little bit about here. We got number 11 Georgia versus number 17 Mississippi State. That's going to be at Georgia. Dom, you look like you're ready to talk about this one.
I have Mississippi State going in and winning. This was probably my biggest, I don't know if you say biggest upset, but I know LSU is all over the place all the time. But I think Mississippi State's a pretty good team. I think that they could finish second behind Bama. Fitzgerald looks good. He looks really good. He's got 7 touchdowns, 1 pick, 61 completion percentage. Dan Mullins does good things with his quarterbacks, and I think they beat Georgia.
Okay. Thomas?
So I like Georgia in this one. Pretty much. I mean, yeah, LSU looked terrible. But it's just something about playing at home, and especially at Georgia. So I like the Bulldogs rolling.
All right. I'm also going to take that at Georgia with the home field advantage, and yeah, I'll pick Georgia on that one. So next we got FSU coming in at number 12 versus NC State.
I have NC State winning.
Oh,
I like Francois, and without him, I don't know. I mean, Florida State's offense line is terrible, and Francois was why I liked Florida State, because his ability to get out of the pocket, make plays, make throws, and he took a ton of hits, and he'd still sit in the pocket, make throws. Without him, I don't know if a backup quarterback can have confidence behind that line, and I'm going with NC State.
All right. Thomas?
Yeah, I got to roll with NC State as well. Without Francois, that team is nothing.
Okay. You know what? I'm still going to take FSU here. But coming into this season, I was actually telling people that I thought Francois was going to win the Heisman. And we saw how that turned out. It's a shame. But, yeah, I'm still going to pull with FSU here.
Derwin James is obviously going to be a next-level player, but I actually not just saying this. We always make a bet, me and a couple friends, we always pick a dark horse Heisman contender that's not a top 5 guy with the odds, and Francois was mine. So
yep,
I agree with you. I thought he was going to do some good special stuff with the talented players, even with that O-line, but nope. We see what bad O-line gets you.
Right.
We see that all over the place.
Yep. Let's see. We are on to Virginia Tech versus Old Dominion. Virginia Tech's coming in at number 13.
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech around the board.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen an Old Dominion game before.
Only on NCAA 13 or whatever the last one was. Okay, so next is going to be the U, number 14, Miami versus Toledo.
The U, yes. I agree with Thomas with his pick with the U winning.
Yeah.
I think Miami has a shot at making Clemson Miami's going to be, I think that will be the ACC championship, and that's going to be a really good game. Mark Richt is a very good coach, and I think he's going to turn Miami around.
Thomas, you just throwing up the U? All right, well, I'll do the same.
I don't count out Toledo. You never know. They produced Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, but they lost Kareem Hunt.
Bingo. Okay, so we are on to number 15, Auburn, and one that I think is a little interesting, at Mizzou.
I want to pick the upset with Mizzou, but Mizzou can't play Power 5 teams. Everyone was talking about how Locke looked so amazing, and then they got to one conference game and just looked terrible. And Mizzou I don't know if I can really pick them. So Auburn.
Y'all, I'm a huge Jarrett Stidham fan, like huge. I loved it when he was at Baylor. I was upset when he wanted out. Obviously, nobody blames him for wanting out. But I'm glad he's getting a shot at Auburn, so I'm taking Auburn.
I'll be the guy. I'll take Mizzou. I'll do it. Mm-hmm. Got a buddy who's a Mizzou fan, and I'll make him proud and go with Mizzou. So 16 is TCU. We already talked about that game. Then 17 in Mississippi State. Already talked about that game. So we'll jump down to number 18, Washington State versus Nevada.
Washington State. I think they'll actually have a pretty good year this year. So I've got a buddy that went to Washington State. So shout out to Applesauce was his nickname. So I'm picking Washington State.
All right, Thomas.
Applesauce.
Yeah. I didn't come up with the nickname.
Right. So, I got Washington State winning. They're the only team I see really challenging USC to knock them out of the top 4 contention. So I got Washington State.
Okay. I'm gonna pick Washington State too. I wish Leach would have never left Tech. That would be an interesting program right now if stuff didn't go down the way it did there.
Craig James.
Yep. So number 19, Louisville versus powerful, mighty, godlike Kent State.
Louisville's pissed.
Yeah. I want to see what Lamar Jackson's numbers will look like this game.
Video game.
Yeah.
Over under 5 touchdowns combined.
Over.
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 Okay. All right.
I think he puts up 8 total.
Wowzers. That's quite a bit. All right, I'm also going to pick Louisville. He's going to come back and be ticked off, and he's going to throw for a lot of touchdowns and run for a lot.
Poor Kent State.
Indeed. Number 20, Florida at Kentucky. It's not basketball, so
I got Kentucky.
Really?
Yep.
Please elaborate.
Florida's not that. Look at the Tennessee-Florida game. I'm going to be honest. I was driving somewhere, so I was listening to the game, and they were just having a hard time talking positive about either team. And Kentucky's undefeated. They can pull out an upset every once in a while, and at home, Florida's offense just might not do anything, and it might be like a 17-10 game.
Tomas?
Can't really chomp down, but I got Florida. Listen, it's Kentucky. You're only known for one thing, and that's basketball.
Undefeated.
Florida.
I'm also going to roll with Florida. Only way Kentucky wins that game is if John Wall goes and plays quarterback.
Thank you.
So number 21, South Florida versus Temple.
The Strong Bulls win.
Yeah. Temple has produced some good players, but
American looks pretty good. American Conference doesn't look bad.
I got Charlie Strong rolling.
South Florida's not a bad team. Flowers is looking like a really good quarterback, especially for the system they have.
All right, so I'm a Texas fan, so naturally I'm going to have to say Temple wins this one. Number 22, we have San Diego State at Air Force. This was one that Dom wanted to bring up, and go for it.
Well, I have the Aztecs winning. I think San Diego State goes undefeated this year. They have Boise State at home. They've beaten now Stanford, and they beat Arizona State. They beat 2 Pac-12 teams. So now the rest of the year they're playing they got their hard part out of the way, but they're looking like a good team. Penny has 588 yards and 4 touchdowns. They're saying he might be better than Pumphrey, at least as a running back. I mean, I know Pumphrey had all his multiple abilities, but as a pure running back, Penny might be better. So San Diego State looks really good. They go undefeated. I think the American beats each other a little bit, and you know how one not Power 5 team makes at least a good bowl? San Diego State's my team.
All right, that's a hot take for you. Thomas?
Yeah. I got to roll with San Diego State. Like everything that Dom said, kind of piggyback off of. I mean, you can't just silently beat 2 Pac-12 teams and just not expect to roll in your own conference. Sorry.
All right, so as much as I would love to pick a triple option team, and let me tell you what, guys, I love the triple option. I could talk about the triple option for probably as long as I could talk about the Jags. I ran it in high school our senior year. It did not work as well for us. But a perfectly executed triple option is gorgeous football. But I'm still going to roll with San Diego State. All right, so number 23, Utah at Arizona.
Oh, I can never pick a Rich Rod team. Utah. I have very strong opinions about Rich Rod from his time at Michigan.
Fair
and
enough.
Still do.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to flip my coin. I'm going to go with Utah.
You are a liar, and you did not flip a coin. I'm also going to go with Utah. Number 24, Oregon at ASU.
Oregon doesn't look bad. And, yeah, I'll go with Thomas as well. I think Oregon might be the team to give not going to make a playoff push, but give teams like Washington, USC, an interesting team to kind of jump in there.
Thomas, let me ask you a question. Is Brock Osweiler still quarterback at ASU?
Probably, honestly. It's the only work he can get.
It's a yes or a no. Is he quarterback at ASU currently?
No.
Then I'll roll with ASU. Go with the upset. Sorry, Jalen Jury. Huge Oregon fan, but I'm going to go with ASU because I like their uniforms. Number 25, LSU versus Syracuse.
If Geis is out, Syracuse.
Okay, got a hot take.
Why not?
Shout out to my girl Brooke. Y'all know her. I'm going with the Tigers.
Do I?
Yes, you do. She came in and talked to our class. So, yes, go Tigers.
If Geis is in, I'm sticking with LSU, though.
You reserve the right to change your pick, Dom.
I'm just saying he's going to be the difference maker. Their offense is terrible without him.
True.
After Texas and SMU, LSU is usually my favorite team. So I will roll LSU on this one. Wish Leonard Fournette was still there, though.
Hey, but it's with your beloved Jags.
Bingo. Went from one team I like to another team I like. So, Jags talk right now?
No.
No? Okay.
That's not the podcast. Remember, Jags talk.
I was about to mute you.
Well, it would have been worth it.
Are we going to get to the hot seat?
All right, so that is all with the top 25. Only 30 minutes in, so we'll go ahead and we'll talk a little A&M versus Arkansas at AT&T Stadium. Both colleges or both coaches are on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dom, take it over.
I'm going to go with A&M. Why? Because if the Arkansas team is wearing a Cowboys replica jersey in AT&T Stadium, it doesn't go well. Brett Bielema eventually gets fired. Maybe not after this game, but eventually.
Yeah. So many of my friends who are Aggies are on that wagon on calling for someone's head. Honestly,
I don't agree with that, but I'd like to address
that's what I'm saying. Like those are those friends calling for his head, and I'm just like why? Well, for what reason? Like,
I have very strong opinions on this.
You know what, Thomas? Before you pick, let's talk a little bit more about that. Do both of y'all feel like he should not be on the hot seat right now?
I think he should be on the lukewarm seat. You know, like he can't win in the later half of the season, and that's a problem. You know,
okay.
And you can't beat LSU, or hopefully this year you can. But that's the thing. Why move to the SEC if you can't even compete? Like, you competed for a year, the year you beat Alabama, but you also had the Heisman Trophy winner. So you're not on the hot seat, but you're not in the clear either. So
I agree with that point. I don't think he's hot seat. He should be hot seat. Obviously, he is. I agree. Lukewarm seat. Same reasons. You have to be able to eventually beat top teams. However, like you mentioned, they beat Bama with Johnny Manziel. Look what A&M was before Johnny Manziel. What type of team were they? They were an 8-win team. Over
If that.
and over and 7 and 6 and an 8. That was the team they were. They get Sumlin. They get Manziel. Now they're national champion team. Okay. And then now they're back to around 8, 7. Okay, that's what you are as a team. Yes, I know you want your coach to take you to the next level, and you got a taste of it. So, yes, I understand wanting it again. But also don't knock Sumlin for his record overall is better than, a lot of previous coaches.
Yeah. Let me tell you
something. You're doing it in the SEC. So I just want to say, yes, lukewarm, you need to be able to beat the top teams, like Thomas said. You need to do it. But at the same time, look at what he's done as a overall. It's not been bad. It really hasn't. It's been pretty good. And I know you want to be great, and you got a taste of great. So I understand wanting to get back to that, but also realize at the same time that sometimes it does take a year or two to get back to great, and what conference you're in.
Yeah, when you have to recruit against Alabama, that's going to be a problem, especially with their allegations of over-recruiting, but that's neither here nor there. You got to also think of who else A&M had that year. Kevin Sumlin's first year. I don't know how he lucked out, but that team was stacked. The offensive line was stacked. Myles Garrett, freshman or sophomore year? Anyway, he came in as the number 1 overall recruit out of high school, if I'm not mistaken. Like that, he could be, but he's up there. If he's not number 1, he was up there. Let's see. Something I didn't like that someone under the Sumlin era, they had was it the Ohio State quarterback, the freshman that just got there, Tate Hartel or something from Las Vegas. Anyway, he was the number 1 guy coming out of high school. Signed him when he could to A&M, and then he decommitted because of everything that was going on in College Station, and that's a problem. How do you have the number 1 overall quarterback coming here for a year and a half and then decommitting and going somewhere else? That's a problem. Also, that year had Mike Evans. The dude's a beast. And then the offensive line anchored by Matthews and Afidi, that's going to be a problem for anybody. So, like, Kevin Sumlin's first year was kind of how do you say it? Is gift wrapped to him. And then what happened his second year, and with everyone, their season was a train wreck because they should have been national champions his second year with Manziel and Evans coming back, but that's me.
I think maybe more of an issue should be why the QBs now have been just coming in and out. I mean, Kyle Allen's. I know obviously Houston's always a good team, but he's looking good right now. And
Kyler
Murray. I mean, shoot, he started had a little sub time for Baker and looked good. I mean,
plays baseball over there too.
Yep. I think it's going to be interesting. I think that's more of an interesting topic, I guess. Why is that happening to maybe on him? But the record-wise, yes, top teams, I think that's an issue. But like I said, I think I agree with Thomas on lukewarm. I don't know about a hot seat. They had, like you said, okay, yes, those 2 years. Like that's, yes, the second year. That should have been better. The first year, he did kind of walk into a good situation. But
there's no kinda about it.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, the thing is, before he was there, was A&M really? What were their expectations before him?
Before him, and before Manziel, and obviously before they got to the SEC, their entire season rode on if they beat Texas at the end or not.
Exactly.
They could have gone 0 and whatever and beat Texas at the end, and their fan base would have been happy. I think they got a little taste of success, and I think they almost let it go to their head a little bit. So now they expect to be great every season, and that's just not how it goes. Take Texas, for example.
That's a good expectation to have, but
it is. I think it's a credit to him, though.
It's unrealistic. Like, it's like Cowboys fans.
It's unrealistic for any team in the state of Texas to expect to be great year in and year out because it's such a recruiting battleground. Because not only do you have all the teams in Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Houston,
and OK State. They kind of talent.
Yeah. Houston,
that's how they get the players.
OU, Oklahoma State, Alabama takes from Texas. LSU takes from Texas a lot. Oregon takes running backs from Texas like it's crazy.
That's Johnny almost went to Oregon.
Right. For any Texas team to expect, any fan base to expect them nowadays to go in and out every season being a contender, it's just kind of absurd because it's just not going to work that way. Not with this state being plucked, every college plucking from this state as they wish.
And I think it should be a credit to someone on changing those expectations. Like we said, yes, like Thomas said, you should expect now to be, we want to be great every year instead of, like you said, beat Texas. I think he deserves credit for changing that. And I know, yes, he was given teams, but I feel like he deserves some credit for that. And also, where are you going to go after someone? Who are you bringing in? I think that's an interesting, like, who do you want? Then
Art Browse.
No.
I heard he got hired somewhere though.
Canada, and then they said no, we don't want you anymore.
That's
all right, so I'm gonna cut it right there. And we're gonna go ahead and go. Thomas, we didn't actually get your pick from that A&M Arkansas game. Go ahead. What's your pick on that?
Whoop.
Okay, Woo Pig Sooie. Psych.
Yeah, for real.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Arkansas, mainly because I hate A&M. All right, so on to the Heisman hopefuls here. Actually, do you want to talk about the UCLA game a little bit, real quick?
They're disappointing. They're deep, at least. I thought Stanford would be a little better as well. I kind of feel bad for Rosen.
Yeah.
He's got some crazy numbers.
Let's we got a little bit of time left. Let's throw this in there. After this season, where do you think his draft stock is going to be at?
Rosen?
Yeah.
Top 10.
Top 10 pick or top 10 quarterback?
Oh, top 10 pick. Top 10
okay.
Pick.
Oh, top 10 pick.
Top 10 pick.
I think him.
Is he the first quarterback off the board for you?
I think Darnold still is.
Okay.
I do have him going in the top 10 though, so okay. I could see it being close. I know they were comparing this to what was it, the 2004 draft with Big Ben, Eli, Phillip Rivers, Jay Cutler. Then, I could see
Eli was in that.
Eli with the Chargers, and then Phillip Rivers got drafted by the Giants, and they flipped because Archie wouldn't let him. And then Big Ben went in first, and I believe Jay Cutler was also in that draft.
Okay,
I believe so.
What would be your ideal team for him to go to? Obviously, it's going to be someone like the Jets or maybe the Browns.
I think Jets. I think he would fit in. Maybe not fit in, but I think he would go there. I think Darnold is 49ers fit.
Okay.
So that's where I kind of see him. So, maybe it flips, but I think the 49ers want Darnold. So that's why I see Rosen going to the Jets. And I guess his personality, maybe Joe Namath-like-ish.
Right. That's
so I could see a New York fit. That's why I see him as a New York fit. Yeah. Maybe not the team, but him in New York.
Yeah.
He would be willing to say stupid stuff to the media, and they'll love it. And he won't care. So.
Right. All right, Thomas, what about you? You think he's where are you at with him and his draft stock at the end of the season?
if the Jets pick number 1 overall, and if they don't trade it away, if they don't pick Darnold, they're just idiots. The only way Rosen goes over Darnold is if someone trades for him.
Okay.
But definitely, I don't see him in the top 10. Definitely top 15. I mean, it's not that far off. He's definitely my second quarterback off the board behind Darnold. But
I think
if he keeps balling, it's slowly going to creep up. But right now, starting in the top 15.
So I'm going to say he's in the top 10 also. It's not because I necessarily think he's a top 10 talent or not. It's just that emphasis that NFL teams put on quarterbacks. And also, I just want to throw this out there. Is it just me, or does it feel like these teams are starting, like, a few years ago it seemed like there was a handful of teams that still needed quarterbacks. It seems like it's dying down a little bit. It seems like a lot of teams have their fit at quarterbacks right now, except for, I mean, the only other guys that I see, I mean, Jets obviously need one. We'll see about the Browns with Kaiser. Yeah. I think they're still going to need one personally. 49ers obviously need one. But yeah, other than that, it seems like just those older guys. But
honestly, I think I named 7 teams I could see drafting quarterbacks.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay, are you talking? But there's a difference to me between like a team, say the Pittsburgh Steelers, drafting a quarterback in his top round, and them drafting one in the 4th, 5th that's going to sit there behind Roethlisberger for a little while.
I mean, a little of both.
Right.
I mean, I'm just going to go through. I think Buffalo drafts a quarterback. Tyrod, they're not locking him up.
Okay.
They traded everyone away. I think they go for a quarterback. Jets, as you mentioned. Like I said, I think Cleveland might have to take someone 2nd, 3rd round. Okay. I mean, if you like Kaiser, I feel like you might have to spend a 2nd, 3rd round on someone.
Kaiser's the truth.
You gotta lock in. Interesting. I think Cincinnati's interesting. Maybe they like McCarron, so maybe not. But he's also coming up on a contract, so maybe you draft someone else to push Dalton.
And Jags.
Jags, I think, Jags draft quarterback.
Saints will get one this year.
Saints will have to get one this year. Yep. And then Washington's interesting because Cousins. Because I know this could change the 49ers because I know Lynch really likes him. Kyle Shanahan's there. Kirk Cousins, I know that was talk already. So that could flip that around if Cousins leaves. I could see Minnesota. I mean, Bradford's Bradford. He already missed another game. Teddy, I hope the best for him, but can he come back? I mean, that was a nasty injury that people thought would end the career. So that's another option. Like you said, New Orleans, I think they need to address it now. They have to, yeah. And then Arizona. Arizona's got Carson Palmer's old. There's no getting around that. They got some good years out of him at the end, but you got to draft someone.
I guess bringing that up, I was thinking more of teams that are like, we need this guy to come in, start right now. A few years ago, it just seemed like to me that there was a lot of teams that were like, we were in a state of emergency with quarterback. Yeah. And now it's a lot of teams that are like, well, we have what we need right now, but what do we need for the future? But I'm going to go ahead and cut that off right there because we have about 15 minutes left. I don't want to get too far into the NFL and an NCAA podcast.
I could also see the Chargers doing something too. I'm just saying.
Phillips getting it up there, yeah.
I mean, that's what I feel like with the quarterbacks, though, this year. That's why I think this would be the year to do it, though. And I could see teams overdrafting. I know we're mixing, but I'm more trying to focus on the quarterbacks out of this college draft that could have come out. The fact that there's a lot of interesting people that, for teams like the Chargers, the Saints, it seems like that. Maybe that Cardinals, I don't know how long they want to push Palmer for, but that could take maybe a risk on someone like Lamar Jackson. He's pocket passing now. He's put weight on. I mean, I know people go back and forth. I think it might be worth a shot if you could.
Lamar Jackson,
like the Chargers. The Chargers, they need fans. And why not draft Lamar, give him a year or two behind Phillip Rivers, and now you got an explosive guy in L.A. You got to do something. You're playing in a soccer stadium that you can't even put home. I mean, I know that's an NFL talk, but Allen from Wyoming, I know he's looked terrible, but he's got an NFL potential, so someone's going to draft him.
And I'll tell you who I think the Saints should draft, even though I hate him because I hate OU, is Baker Mayfield. I think he's a little bit of mold. I think he's a little bit of that mold of Drew Brees. and I think sitting behind Drew would be great for him. And speaking
Early
of
second round, they're calling
Baker Mayfield, Heisman hopefuls, Baker Mayfield, how's that a transition for you?
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield out of OU is number 1 on the ESPN Heisman hopeful list right now. He is coming in with 1,046 passing yards, 10 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a 76.7 completion percentage. I'll just go ahead and run down the list. I just put down 4. The 5th, I didn't particularly want to list myself. If y'all want to put them up there, you can. Second, they have Saquon Barkley, running back out of Penn State. He's got 307 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns, 11 receptions for 241 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. And then next, we got the quarterback out of OK State, Mason Rudolph. He has 1,135 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception, 72.3 completion percentage, and 1 rushing touchdown to throw in there. And then the last one I'm going to mention is Lamar Jackson, obviously. 1,088 passing yards, 8 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, a little bit lower completion percentage with 59.8. He adds 303 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. So let's just go ahead and start it off with Dom. Who sticks out to you the most? Is there anybody else you want to add to this list?
I'm going to start with the beginning of the list, and then I'll go to maybe a late ad. So when I mentioned with the bet we always do, I picked Francois for odds, and I got a grace. Usually we give ourselves the 1 week grace period. If an injury happens, we flip. I went with Rudolph. We made that up when someone picked Taysom Hill from BYU, and he went down for his 5th time in 7 years at BYU. But Rudolph was my next one to go to. So and this is where I think the Oklahoma State games are going to be huge.
Okay.
I agree with Baker as 1. I'm going to put Rudolph 2, not just because he's my pick. I think he's looked really good. And I know their offense is high numbers, but I think it's going to be a really interesting game. I put Baker because of their signature win at Ohio State. I think you can't not have him 1 right now. But like I know I have OU making the playoffs, but if OSU runs the table like you said and they make the playoffs, I would think Rudolph would win. Okay. I think, honestly, this could be a deciding game on whose stock maybe will jump the most. And I know Mayfield's already up there, but if Mayfield wins then in that game, he's going to really separate himself. But if Rudolph wins, I think he flips. I think that's going to be a signature game that people are going to be like, oh, they're actually for real. They're not. I know they're just putting up numbers, but they're beating good teams now. So that's where I put that. Barkley, I really like him, and I get why they're doing what they're doing. They're not overusing him in games that don't matter. I mean, the non-conference games, they're not trying to overuse him. So his numbers aren't as crazy as some of these passing numbers. They're trying to keep him healthy for the Big Ten play, which is understandable. I think should continue to be up there, maybe not 2. He should be top 5 still, just because once they get the Big Ten play and they're going to let him loose, he's going to put up good numbers. I really like him as a running back. I think I'd go to my ads list now because I think it really will come down to Rudolph Mayfield. I would like to see that. That's going to be some very interesting numbers then. Ad list, I know he only has 209 receptions for 3 receiving touchdowns, but he has 6 punt returns for 3 punt return touchdowns. Dante Pettis, I don't like Washington, but he is honestly what keeps them in games, I feel like, is his ability. And I don't know, he's just so explosive that, he's got 6 punt returns and half of them are touchdowns. Like, right. That is an insane thing to do. At some point,
you stop punting and kicking to him.
Right?
That's just.
He's just explosive, and I feel like he deserves at least to have his name dropped in it.
Okay.
But
that's fair.
He's not going to win, but he should deserve his name dropped, at least. Same as I know defensive players don't usually get the hype. I'll give Houston a little love. Ed Oliver is a freak. The fact that Houston could get a number 1 overall player and he's playing like it, not just, hey, you got him, sometimes like, oh, they make that pick, but the fact that he's playing like that, he's at least someone interesting. I know defensive players aren't going to win. They're not going to win, but I think he deserves a little love. Maybe not to be,
All right.
maybe at least in the conversation of top 10 of a guy. This guy is a freak athlete, and he's doing what a number one national player should do.
Right.
So the fact that, he's continuing to play like that, and he's only a sophomore, so that's pretty impressive.
All right, Thomas, what you got for me?
Yeah, to piggyback off that, if the Texans didn't need offensive line badly, he'd be one that I would be pushing them to draft. But he has no sacks on the year so far. And that is insane to me, considering they just got done playing Rice, where he only had 6 total tackles. And I say only. I mean, that's still a lot, but someone of his caliber. Yeah. And then against Arizona, he had 11 tackles, 8 solo, which is great. But I mean, as a defensive lineman, you want to see, especially one as touted as him, you got to see that sack production, and I think that's what teams will look for. But
I think just one thing, Thomas. I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to point out, someone like that, though. I know, but I'm not. I want to make a point.
We're sure on time, boys. We're sure on time.
Something on that though, but just they're going to double, triple team him though. I mean, you have to also look at that. I mean, yes, I know you want the sack numbers, but the fact that you're drawing as much attention is going to make everything so much easier for everyone else.
Good. But yeah,
I'm not saying he's going to win a Heisman because of it, but I think.
Well, no, I definitely don't think he's going to win the Heisman, but the fact that he's up there is remarkable. Yeah, I definitely agree with what ESPN says on the expert polls right now. I really like Baker Mayfield until he proves otherwise. 11 total first place votes. Insane.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead.
All right, so what I want to do real quick with the time running out pretty soon here, and I think this is something we should do almost every week because I think it's kind of fun. If the season ended right now, out of everyone we've mentioned, out of any player in the country, who do you think would get the Heisman right now? In your opinion, who deserves the Heisman? Baker? Y'all are all in Baker? Yeah, I'm going to say Mason Rudolph. I like the extra touchdown, and I like the rushing touchdown. And also I hate OU. So with that being said, I think that wraps it up for this week in college football. Right at under an hour. That's what we're aiming at each week. And just reminder, college sports will be every Monday. NFL will be Wednesday. And I think that's about it, guys. So just go over to our Twitter page at We Talk without the We Talk Sport Good without the S at the end of sports. We Talk Sport Good. Give us a follow. Tweet us questions so we can answer some questions live.
No esports cam.
No esports. Cameron Schlegel. Go. Never mind. And then, so tweet us, like this, please, because that helps a lot. Subscribe, that helps a lot. And then thank you for all the views on the last one. We almost had 100 in less than a week. That's pretty good for our first podcast, and we didn't even really market it that much. So, big things to come from our podcast. And I guess any last words, boys?
Go Michigan. Go Blue.
Go Michigan. Go Blue. Thomas?
Good night, everyone.
Love y'all.